Imagine you take a typical building, cut it into several pieces, and then reassemble them in a random order. That feeling of disruption helps explain a style that began to emerge in the late 1970s. While much of architecture pursued order and rationality, some architects began pushing in the opposite direction. Complex curves, unpredictable angles, fragmented forms, an architecture that many described as chaotic. You've probably already guessed it, Deconstructivism. This style is about much more than dramatic curves and unusual forms. Like many architectural movements before it, it emerged as a reaction to what came before. So what was it reacting against? In this edition of ArchDaily's Architecture 101, we will explore it. Just as postmodernism challenged the rules of modernism, deconstructivism challenged some of architecture's most established ideas. It questioned concepts long taken for granted: order, stability, and harmony. And to do that, it drew inspiration from many different sources, such as the philosophy of Jacques Derrida, who questioned established systems and structures, and Russian constructivism, with its fragmented compositions and dynamic forms. In 1988, architect Philip Johnson and historian Mark Wigley organized an exhibition at MoMA in New York titled Deconstructivist Architecture. The exhibition brought together the work of 7 international architects who, according to its curators, recognized the imperfectibility of the modern world. Among them were Frank Gehry, Zaha Hadid, Peter Eisenman, Daniel Libeskind, Rem Koolhaas, Bernard Tschumi, Wolf D. Pree, and Helmut Swiksinski. Among the projects featured in the exhibition was the Gehry Residence, a house that Canadian architect Frank Gehry purchased with his wife in 1977 in Santa Monica. At first glance, it didn't look much different from the other homes in the neighborhood. He decided to preserve much of the original house. However, there was one element he wanted to radically transform: the facade. From there, he began to wrap the house with a new structure. He left some wooden beams exposed, extended the structure in different directions, and incorporated metal elements and translucent surfaces. The result was a house made up of overlapping layers that looked completely different from the neighboring homes. This residence, which would be his home for several years, already hinted at some of the ideas that would define his architecture in the decades to come, work that would become increasingly complex and often controversial. Another name featured in the exhibition was Zaha Hadid, who presented The Peak, a project from 1983. It was the winning proposal for an exclusive private club in Hong Kong. And from the very beginning, it introduced a rather radical idea. Instead of adapting to the terrain, Hadid proposed transforming it. Her project planned to excavate the hills and use the extracted rock to build artificial cliffs, or, in her own words, a man-made geology. But the project was never built. Nevertheless, The Peak would go on to become one of the most important works of her early career. The project helped bring visibility to her work and marked a key moment in her exploration of painting as a design tool. At the beginning, most early deconstructivist projects were just radical ideas stuck on paper because they were too complex to actually be built. However, that completely changed with the arrival of advanced modeling software, which allowed architects to calculate and coordinate wild, irregular geometries for the first time. One example is the architecture of Frank Gehry, who, in his later projects, began using software called CATIA, originally developed for the aerospace industry. Thanks to these new digital tools, radical forms that had been locked in sketchbooks and competitions for years finally leapt off the page and became real physical buildings on city streets. Some early examples of this architectural language were already entering the urban landscape. Among them was the Wexner Center for the Arts by Peter Eisenman. But during the 1990s, this language began to gain a much stronger presence. And for Zaha Hadid, that shift also arrived. After years of developing projects that remained on paper, the Vitra Fire Station, her first built project, opened in 1993. For this project, she designed a building made of tilted concrete walls that seemed to extend in different directions. The result is an architecture full of tension and movement, as if the building had been captured in the middle of an action. As the 2000s arrived, this approach became more visible. Buildings such as the Guggenheim Museum Bilbao by Frank Gehry and the Royal Ontario Museum Expansion by Daniel Libeskind continued to appear, and later works such as the Heydar Aliyev Center by Zaha Hadid, completed in 2013. By then, Deconstructivism no longer felt like an isolated experiment. Its forms began to appear in cities around the world, becoming part of certain cityscapes, though still within a limited scope. These buildings required complex geometries, high-precision engineering, and expensive construction processes. For this reason, although deconstructivism gained visibility, it never became a standard approach for all types of projects. Over time, rather than disappearing, it began to merge into contemporary architecture, and because of that, its impact extended far beyond the buildings it produced. It also helped push new ways of designing and building, supported by increasingly advanced digital tools and approaches linked to parametric design. Today, in regions such as Asia or the Gulf countries, it is possible to find buildings with equally complex and radical forms. However, they are rarely described as deconstructivist. They are part of contemporary architecture, where complexity is no longer the exception, but part of the language. What started as a way of questioning how architecture is made has gradually shifted. In later projects and in contemporary practice, that critical edge is less present, and the focus often shifts toward form, shaped by its absorption into real estate and urban branding. Even so, perhaps that is where the real legacy of deconstructivism lies, not in becoming a dominant style for decades, but in expanding what architects can imagine, design, and build. And although the movement gradually lost momentum, many of the tools and processes it helped advance remain part of architectural practice today. So, tell us, what is your favorite deconstructivist building? Join the conversation and share your thoughts in the comments. If you want to keep exploring these topics, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out more content in the Architecture 101 section on ArchDaily through the link in the caption. See you in the next episode of Architecture 101.